Hey, Gen X jugglers. Today's episode is brought to you by StatGuardPlus, the world's first thermostat guard with a built-in combination lock, so you don't have to worry about keeping up with that tiny key. We all know about the thermostat wars. Your teenager comes in, dressed in layer upon layer, topped with a huge hoodie, says, "I'm hot," and runs to turn down the thermostat. An elderly loved one comes by to visit, and their idea of the perfect climate is a crisp 90 degrees. So they tootle on over and adjust the thermostat. That can get expensive. We want our loved ones to be comfortable, and we can make that happen. But we don't want a huge energy bill. Don't let someone else spend your hard earned dollars when you could be spending your money where it matters most. StatGuard Plus is made out of high quality polycarbonate and is super easy to install. Whether it's for your home or your place of work, install StatGuard Plus today and start controlling your costs instantly. Visit StatGuardPlus.com and enter promo code GenX10 for 10% off right now.
Nobody's ever gonna take your place. Yeah, I think we should meet in the middle. I follow you 'cause you're the light of the day. I need you like you need me, it's so simple. It's so simple.
Welcome back to the Gen X Juggler podcast. I'm so glad you're here, and I'm so happy to wish you a happy Thanksgiving. Today's episode is going to be a little different because I wanted today, on this Thanksgiving Day, to be a conversation between me and you, an opportunity for me to thank you for being here and listening and watching on YouTube and just joining me on this journey of midlife. And all the cool stuff that we still have to learn and do and the ways that we can grow. And I could not be more privileged than to have you along on this ride. I did want to ask you, what is your favorite Thanksgiving tradition? Or what is your favorite Thanksgiving memory? I am a Thanksgiving traditionalist, so I do prefer turkey, dressing, the works. I am a canberry girl instead of a real cranberry sauce girl, if you know, you know. So that may not sit well with some of you, and I understand. But do you have a favorite Thanksgiving memory that just tops them all? I do. And I'm going to share it with you on YouTube. I'm going to put the video of this up because I happen to have it. So let me tell you about this particular Thanksgiving. If any of you have had children go off to the military, you know that sometimes the get-togethers can be unpredictable, and the next time you see them can be unpredictable. So when my son John went off to the Navy in July of 2019, we thought we weren't going to have an opportunity to have him for the holidays at all. And then we were surprised that he was going to get to come home for Thanksgiving. Now, the cool thing was his little sister, who just worshiped the ground he walked on, had no idea that he was coming home. And he asked us to keep it a surprise. And we did. We did that. It was hard, but we did it. And we kept it a surprise from everyone else who was going to be there that day, grandparents and other people that were going to be coming to Thanksgiving. So it was going to be a sweet surprise for everyone. So I snuck off to the airport and picked him up and brought him home. And he went and surprised his sister, who was completely baffled, but it was the sweetest moment. And we had a wonderful Thanksgiving. And so that is probably my favorite Thanksgiving moment as an adult, for sure, and how it involves my kids, for sure. But I do have to say, my Thanksgiving memories that just still warm my heart really involve going to my grandparents' house. When I was a little girl, I had so many cousins. And don't cousins just make life super fun? Because it's almost like you have this little, like the adults are doing what they're doing, and then the kids all gather together in this little family cousin gang and come up with super creative, fun things to do, catch up because not all of us lived in the same town. You know, everyone would kind of converge at grandma's house. And as we got older, as soon as someone got a driver's license, we were out of there. Like as soon as I think it was either my cousin Scott or my cousin Carrie got their license first. And as soon as they had their license, we all piled in a car and burned so much gas, so much gas at that, 80 cents a gallon or whatever it was back then. And just had so much fun, just spending time with family, and it was always the most fun time of the year for me as a kid. So that may be why it is my favorite holiday even today. If you have a favorite Thanksgiving memory that you would like to share with me, I would absolutely love to see that because you guys are so important to me. I think about you, I picture you, even those of you whom I've never met. I picture you when I'm planning and inviting guests on and just try to give you the best information I can and a good podcast to watch. So I would love to hear from you. Actually, I have a particular listener that I want to send a little shout out to right now, and that is my listener in Singapore. I don't know who you are, but thank you. Thank you for showing up every single week and listening to the podcast. I don't know if you knew I could see you. I can see where you guys are generally in the world and in the United States, what state you're in, and then where you are in the world. The analytics allow me to see that. And I just see Singapore every week, and I feel like I have a friend in Singapore, which is so fun for me. I love the movie Crazy Rich Asians, and ever since I saw that, I was fascinated by Singapore. It's just a beautiful place, and it's a bucket list for me. I do plan to go there someday, but I just appreciate you finding me. I would love to know how you found me and just more about you. So feel free to leave a comment. If you want to give more details than you would like to leave in a public comment, my email is deb@genxjuggler.com. So feel free to send me an email. And honestly, that goes for all of you. When I said today that I wanted this to be a conversation, I really do. I really want it to be a back and forth. You know, when I started this podcast, and I may have said it a few times on the podcast because it's definitely true, and I find myself forgetting sometimes that you guys have heard me tell the same stories. Sorry. I get so involved with my guest and it makes me think of something in my life and I say it. But when I first started this podcast, I felt like there would maybe be about 10 listeners and that I would personally know about 5 of them. And it would be more like maybe a ham radio situation where I was able to just go and connect with some people in midlife who were juggling all of the same things I found myself juggling at the time I started this podcast, and that it would just be a good way to connect with people. It has been a great way to connect with people, I must say. It's been different than I ever imagined because I didn't know what podcasting really was when I started the podcast. And I tell you that only to tell you this. It's okay to start something new without being able to see the ending. It's okay to start something new without even being able to see the middle. I think we stop ourselves short sometimes. But what I would say to you, based on my experience, especially this year, is if it's in your heart to do, take that chance. You know, the chance taken on yourself is never wasted. And all you need to do is find out what your first step should be and do that. For me, my first step was figuring out how in the world a podcast gets from my brain out into the world. So I took a little course. I took Jenna Kutcher's course and learned how to start a podcast. And she broke it down for me really well. And then I did that in October and I sat on that for a while. But I made sure to tell some friends about it. I made sure to tell some friends what I was thinking. And I think that's important. Friends who will hold you accountable and say, have you done this yet? Have you done that yet? I had one particular friend who I knew would hold my feet to the fire. And so I told him, I'm going to start the podcast within the next 30 days. And I knew telling him that I would have to do that because he doesn't play. He'd be like, why haven't you? What have you done today to get you to that goal? And you need friends like that. You need people who keep you accountable. And you also need the people who encourage you, who are just, I believe in you. You can do it. Go do it. And so all of that helped me then take that next step, which was really planning my first episode, recording my first episode, uploading it and getting it out there. And that's all I knew. I didn't know anything about social media or how to promote. I certainly wasn't on Instagram in any big way. I think I had 2 pictures on Instagram from, ironically, Thanksgiving a couple years before. I was not a social media person at all. The other benefit to just starting was that I had to learn some stuff. And we get to this point in life and we know a lot and we're maybe really good at our jobs. Maybe we have so many things in our life that are so easy for us because we've been doing them for so long that we almost become robotic. And there's a comfort in that and not having to think too hard about every single thing. I completely understand that. I don't want to think too hard about every single thing. But this year I learned about a challenge. I learned about technology, as you've heard me say on the podcast. I think my third ever podcast was about how I really struggle with technology, and I called it Heck No Techno because that's a moniker that I earned in college when I went back in my 30s to finish my degree. The kids who had graduated much after 1994 when I did knew some technology that I didn't know. And so I had one friend who was helping me with everything. I think she graduated in 2002, maybe from high school. And she called me Heck No Techno, and it stuck. And I have called myself that proudly since that moment. But I will tell you, I have been so amazed at what I've been able to learn. I used to just write that off. Like I will never know how to do video editing. I will never know how to do millions of things. Millions. Hyperbole. I will never know how to do so many of the things that you would need to do a solo podcast and be the only writer, producer, editor, social media manager, all of it. And yet here I am doing it and having the best time. And part of that thrill is what I've learned along the way and the challenges that I've met along the way. So I just want to encourage you, if there's something you're thinking about, I know the new year is on the way, and I know that's when we tend to say, I'm going to do this. I would say start now. In the middle of the holiday season, in the middle of everything that's going on, I know that sounds crazy, start researching what you want to do. If there's something new you want to take on, just start taking a look at it. Don't tether it to a certain time of year, because we know that it takes about 2 weeks for us to forget our New Year's resolutions. Just about 2 weeks. So we want this to be, if we're going to take on something new and we're going to need to learn, hopefully we will have a lot of cool stuff to learn along the way. Just start. All you need is the first step. The other steps will just come. So I started the podcast recording in my closet for sound quality. A friend of mine who does video editing advised me that that would be the best way. He does some voiceovers sometimes, and when he has to do them at home, he does them in his closet because it absorbs all the extra sound and any echo there might be. He was right. It's great. I wish he lived closer. I would utilize his expertise much more, but he is responsible for the opening graphic in the Gen X Juggler podcast. So if you're watching it on YouTube and you see that cool opening graphic, I did not do that. That was done by Ben Bookout, a friend of mine. So he's really talented, and I'm so excited that he lent his talent to the podcast. That was very kind of him. So he told me to record in my closet, and I did that. So I did 16 episodes initially with, I would do a solo, and then I would have a friend. And then I would do a solo, and then I would invite one of my friends, and just friends I knew, friends I'd grown up with, or friends I'd worked with that I knew could bring something to the topic of midlife. And each of them did. I am just so grateful that they took the time out of their day to join me on my little ride that we didn't know where in the world it was going at the time. And they're all great people. When I got to episode 16, I was starting to worry that I was running out of stuff to say and running out of opportunities to ask my friends for favors to join me on the podcast, to, remote in and talk to me in my closet. They were so kind to do it, and they probably would have just kept coming back. But I was just like, am I done? Am I running out of stuff to say? But at exactly that moment, I got an email. I didn't know that anybody in the podcasting world knew who I was or that my podcast was on anybody's radar. But it was on the radar of Alex Sanfilippo and his wife Alicia, who run Podmatch. And Podmatch is a phenomenal resource for anyone who has a podcast. I would definitely check into it. But it's a way to connect guests and hosts. I didn't know that existed. I thought I was going to have to go walk the pavement and find interesting people to bring on the podcast. And that did not sound fun to me at all. And that's not how it's done. But I didn't know podcasting at the time. So I get this email and it's pretty specific. It's like 16 episodes. That's awesome. I'm so happy you've gotten that far. A lot of podcasters don't. And then it went on to comment on one of my recent podcasts that they had actually listened. And then it talked about Podmatch and that could be a good resource for me. And I was like, I don't know. And so I asked, I forget because I'm old, I forget that there's Google from time to time. I like to ask my friends. So I asked my friend, I was like, do you think this is real? Do you think this is legit? Or do you think this is someone who just kind of scours the internet to see if there's people they can scam who have a podcast? And my friend was like, let me Google it. Oh yeah, I guess I could have done that. And she goes, yeah, he's legit. This is a thing. And so I signed up for Podmatch and my world changed. All of a sudden, I'm meeting fellow podcasters, which is phenomenal, and all these really cool people that bring neat stuff to the table that I can bring to you. And that's what I wanted. If I couldn't bring good content, I didn't want to just do this for no reason, just to hear myself talk. So that led to me doing YouTube eventually. So I took the summer off and went into reruns and I regrouped and I joined a boot camp with Sharday Rael, who is a wonderful podcaster. She does her first 3 years and Feel Good Naked are her 2 podcasts. And she just was such a good resource and so kind to me and gave me some tools I really needed to be able to start doing video podcasts. Just things to think about. That's really all I needed was a shift in the way we normally think and get into podcaster brain. And so I was able to start with new fun guests that I never would have met and start doing video podcasts, which has been so fun. It's a little bit intimidating, I'll have to say, but I've gotten comfortable with it. I had a guest early on. What I've found is podcasters and podcast guests are so gracious. You would think there would be some ego involved because they're in a business that is about, seeing them and hearing them talk. And that's what they do is they just be seen and talk. But what I found is it is such an others focused group of people. They're concerned about the audience and the audience having the best experience and how they can help you accomplish that. There is no ego that I saw. I encountered no ego. So I had a podcasting guest early on. And when we finish recording, we usually chat for just a second. And we finished recording and he was complimentary. And so I said, I am pretty nervous still. I'm glad you had a good experience because I'm still pretty nervous. I'm still focused on the wrong things. I'm, worried about things I'm doing. I'm catching myself almost like watching yourself in a mirror all the time and not liking what you see, but then someone else is talking and you really need to be paying attention to them. And it was hard for me to take myself out of that and just focus on everything else rather than do I look dumb, which is a thought. And he said, you're going to disappear. The longer you do this, you're going to just start to disappear into the background. And everything else and the reason you do this is going to come forward. And he was right. He was so right. I just put so much more thought now into more important things, and how I look, how I come off is just how I look and how I come off that day. We all have good days. We all have bad days. And that's not what it's about. I'm grateful to him for offering that wisdom to me early on because it helped me relax a little bit. And I think it helped me get there sooner. Kind of set the self-consciousness aside. So that was really nice. And then I went at the end of September this year, I went to Empowered Podcasting, the Empowered Podcasting Conference. That changed my world. Just being in a room with podcasters supporting each other. I thought my listenership was kind of low, because I'm watching Joe Rogan. And I thought, wow, I have a long way to go. And then I would tell my fellow podcasters there how many listeners I had, and they would be impressed. And that made me feel good. And they would do things to build me up and encourage me. And there's not a competition between podcasters that I have noticed. There may be out there somewhere, but not that I have noticed in the independent podcasting world. So I am just so grateful to Mark Ronick for putting that on and for spending some time with me there. And also to Alex and Alicia Sanfilippo from Podmatch, who I mentioned earlier. They were there and I was able to spend some quality time with them too, which was awesome. So I'm so grateful for this year of podcasting, for all that I've learned, for all the wonderful people that I've met, the great guests that have been on, and for you. Because if it weren't for you, there would be zero reason to show up every week. It's you show up, so I show up. And I appreciate it. So I just want to tell you that I'm grateful for this year. I'm grateful for so many things. But specific to this podcast, I'm grateful for this year. I'm grateful for you for sticking with me. I want to know more about what you want. I want to know more about what you want to see on this podcast, what's important to you, what information is important to you, what fun things would you like to see on the podcast. I have some ideas coming up for this year that I'm really excited about, but I don't need to talk about them yet because they are still in the very, very baby stages, but you'll know soon enough. I do want to know, and please feel free to comment on this. I do want your feedback. Would you ever want to join me in a call-in podcast where we are live in the moment, at least? I don't know if we would be live on air at the time, but where we're live in the moment talking to each other and you pose midlife questions or things you've gone through in midlife or things we did as kids and memories you have. And we just talk about being Gen X then and being Gen X now. I think that would be so fun, and I would love to get an opportunity to spend time like that with you. So if you'd be interested in a call-in episode where you get to call in and talk to me and I get to have a conversation with you, I think that would be incredibly cool. In the comments, just say, I'm in. I'm in if you would like to do that, if that sounds like something that would be fun. I want to wish you guys the happiest of Thanksgivings and the happiest of holiday seasons. You mean the world to me, and I just can't thank you enough. As we close out this conversation between you and I do want to acknowledge that I know the holidays can be difficult for many. I have friends this year who've lost their parents, lost family members. I have friends who are battling health issues. You may remember Christy, who was on episode 10 when we were still audio only, who has had a cancer battle, and she's fighting really hard right now, again, a new battle against cancer. And I believe in her. She will win this battle. She will win this battle. But I would love it if you would please lift her up in prayer as we go into this season of Thanksgiving and gratefulness. And as we're grateful, those of us who are fortunate enough to have good health, let's be sure and lift up those who don't. I have another friend who was on episode 16. I told you my friends showed up for me, and she had a liver transplant. Her name is Jen, and she had a liver transplant, and she still struggles. She's so much healthier than she was, but she has some health struggles that she's in right now, just feeling run down and tired, and we're entering the holiday season. So since both of them are connected to the podcast and have been on the podcast, you can go back and hear their stories. Go check out those earlier episodes. But just if you think about it, lift them up. And my friends who have lost loved ones, that can be so hard when there's an empty seat at the table. And we want to, as we give thanks, also lift them up. All right, guys. This has been a wonderful time for me. I hope it's been a wonderful time for you. Have a great Thanksgiving, and I'll see you soon.
Nobody's ever gonna take your place. Yeah, I think we should